and welcome, a series focused on helping you develop technique and skill in swimming. In our first segment, we focused on in-pool work to better the way we swim each of the 4 strokes: freestyle, butterfly, backstroke and breaststroke. In this segment, we are focusing on developing strength and flexibility through dryland work specifically designed to help us swim better and faster. Swimming is a sport that uses most of the body's muscles, but there are 5 main muscles that make the largest difference in a swimmer's performance: the pecs, the lats, the triceps, the core and the quads. In our last episode, we looked at ways to strengthen the upper body so as to add power to the pulling action in the pool. In this episode, we look at adding strength and flexibility to the lower body, specifically the quadriceps. All the exercises we are doing today use only body weight, so they can be done easily and anywhere. Your legs have the biggest muscles in the body. So when they do work in the water to propel your body forward, they end up eating a lot of your oxygen. If you just use your arms and do not really kick hard, you will notice you could go on swimming for longer and longer, but not necessarily faster. Even a competitive swimmer at the top of his game has to very strategically manage when he uses the power in his legs and at what point in his race distance does he turn on his legs and get that extra advantage over the racing field. Quads are also critical for more powerful push-offs and dives. Leg strength, apart from just adding speed to your swimming, is key to helping your body find stability in the water. When I work out for swimming, I always try and superset or alternate leg work and core work. These two in combination help you feel like you're swimming high on top of the water rather than sinking below it. Now personally, if I trained an average of 11 sessions in a week, I'd dedicate at least 2 to 3 of these purely to kicking in the pool. My gym sessions would always include leg work, and even simple dryland work on land had to have the lower body strengthening incorporated into it. If you look at the different types of kick that the 4 swimming strokes use, you notice you use all of your leg muscles in swimming. You also depend on the flexibility of the ankles and the range of motion of the groin, the quadriceps and the hamstring muscles too. So what's extremely important is, while you are in pursuit of adding bulk to your leg muscles, it must never come at the cost of their flexibility. Warm-ups today are so important and very effective in keeping you injury-free and helping you stay ready to hit the workout at 100% from the get-go. I'd like to take you through a range of motions that I feel you need to do as part of your warm-up before a swim workout as well as before you head into the gym. So let me start you off with a couple of neck rotation movements. Think of it this way, that when you're in the water and you're swimming freestyle, you turn your head to the right and left through a kilometer of freestyle over 1,000 times. So if you're going to get into that movement and you're going to go and sprint freestyle and jerk your neck in opposite directions without a warm-up, you could end up with a big injury. So let's start with the neck rotation movement. I'd like your hands on your hips, your eyes closed, and you're making anti-clockwise and clockwise movements with your neck. It is extremely important that you do this movement very slowly and with control. I'd like you to go through 5 complete neck rotations in a clockwise direction and then switch over to 5 in an anti-clockwise direction. Next, now your hips. We rotate our hips as many times in freestyle as we rotate our necks. So if we are going to be so focused on loosening up and warming up our necks, we have to give the same respect to our hips as well. I'd like your hands on your hips and I'd like you to make big anti-clockwise movements with your hips, really trying to touch all the corners, all the parts of a circle that your hips are making. 5 in an anti-clockwise direction, and then 5 in a clockwise direction. Moving to my shoulders for a bit. The hours and hours that a swimmer spends in the pool over a year can take a big toll on his shoulder muscles. Most important muscles that support your shoulder muscles are your rotator cuff muscles. and to have stability in these rotator cuff muscles prevents you from injury out here in the front. And so I've put together one movement for you that not only opens up your chest muscles and relaxes them, but also increases the range of rotator cuff movement in your body. So you have your hands and your elbows lifted up with your palms at 90 degrees, and you slowly go down and you slowly lift them up. It is important that through this exercise, you do not move your elbows back and forth, but they stay in one steady position as you do this exercise. 6 to 8 of these repetitions is great as part of your warm-up. I'd like to move back down to my knees. During a breaststroke kick, you're exerting so much force on your knees. And if you're ending up doing, say, 2 kilometers of breaststroke work or 2 laps of breaststroke work, you are still snapping them so many times against the resistance that the water poses. So let me get my palms onto my knees and my feet close together, and I make anti-clockwise movements with my knees, 5 of them, and 5 clockwise movements as well. Moving on, swimmers are really prone to injury on their lats and their intercostal muscles. This is purely because you have, for example, a butterfly movement completely stretching out your lat muscle. And therefore, I'd like you to do this exercise to stretch the muscle as well as keep it supple before your workout. Open up your feet and keep them straight. You don't need to really lock your knees, but still have a fairly straight posture with your legs. You put your left hand on your hip and your right hand raised to the sky. You then start to slowly bend sideways, feeling a stretch in your lat muscle. I don't mind if you work this pulsing movement for a total of 5 repetitions. You then slowly come back up to setup position. Put your right hand on your hip, lift your left hand up to the sky, and move sideways again, repeating the same movement that you did on your left side. As I start to feel an opening up of my intercostal muscles and a nice stretch, I become comfortable with the thought of attacking butterfly in my workout. Keeping this in mind, I've put together a few exercises on land as well in the water that you can do to help your lower body start supporting your upper body more so you can become a more balanced swimmer. In addition to this, we will do some mobility and stretch work as well. We are using no equipment whatsoever in this series, so it's not even like you need to drive to the gym to get this done. You could put down an exercise mat on the floor of your home right now and get stronger right where you are. Let's get started. Here you can see my swimmers Varun and Kabir lying with their lower backs on the floor, making sure that they have their lower backs pressed firmly into the ground keeps their core activated and switched on at all times. They now go on to bending their knees and tucking their ankles under them. Pressing down with their heels, they lift up their hips and then drop them down. In this movement, you really want to feel like you are clenching your glute muscles together on the way up. You pause for 2 to 3 seconds and then you lower your hips slowly. I like to have a fast, aggressive move on the way up and a slow, controlled one on the way down. Ideally, I'd like them to repeat this for about 12 to 15 times before they move on to the next variation. Here you can see backstroke champion Arisa getting into the same position on the floor as we did earlier. But this time, she must have her feet together and her knees wide open. She continues to make the same move with her hips up and down. But since the setup position is different, she ends up working different parts of her hamstring and quadriceps. Once she is done with 12 repetitions, she takes a short break and then finally moves on to the last variation of this exercise. In this last one, you can see that this time around, she has got her knees tightly squeezed together and her feet open as much as possible on setup. Again, because of the change in her stance, she ends up working different muscles. By doing all three variations designed for this exercise, you work not only different parts of your quads and hamstrings, but because your core is switched on through this exercise with a neutral spine, you also end up engaging your obliques and core muscles. I've put together this exercise as the foundation of your effort to build lower body strength. It is simple enough to do, but correct technique though is the real key. Many swimmers tend to switch off their core muscles through their gym routine because of this. Tons of pressure is transferred to the lower back, which is not good at all. The best way to feel like you have your core switched on is to really imagine that you've got a belt on and you are making a small hinge in your hips that tucks that belt in upward. You can watch this from the side as I make this move. So here's your belt, imaginary belt on, and here you can see I have a little arch in my lower back with my butt sticking outward. What I'm going to try to do to switch on my core is I'm going to lift up the buckle of my belt so as to get my core and abs activated, and automatically my lower back is flat and therefore my spine neutral. Even as I lie down for my ab work or my core work, it's important that I make the same movement, or you do, before you start the exercise. Just like we did in the previous one as well, by lowering our lower backs into the ground. Coming to my next routine, which you can see Tarun and Shravani do, I've mixed two simple variations of squats for you with explosive jumps. I always like to have a combination of a slow, controlled movement with a fast, agile one, where your muscles really fire at the end of each set. So let's get into our squats. Notice how Tarun and Shravani have their heels firmly planted into the ground, which makes it only a little more than half a squat. Keep your back straight with your spine neutral, with your chest and shoulders up. Keep looking ahead at a spot in front of you. I'd like that they both feel their weight going down into their heels on the way down, and also use the same heels to come up with force. Once they are done with their reps, I will have them do 5 high and aggressive vertical jumps. This way, we learn to alternate a slow squatting movement with a quick, agile jump. This move really helps build your hamstrings as well as convert to better breaststroke and stronger push-offs and of course, starts too. This time, all they have changed is the setup with their feet. They have their stance a little wider and their toes are turned outward. This move really helps working your inner hamstrings and the strengthening of your groin muscles as well. Breaststrokers often tend to get injured or have pain in their inner thighs and groin, primarily because they are weak. It is key to getting fit on land before we get these muscles active and agile in the water. Again, 2 sets of 10 repetitions is a perfect way to do this exercise. Again, we alternate these squats with 5 to 6 high jumps, where explosive agility work complements slow muscle building squats. Now coming to my last variation for squat work. I'd like to add a little core stability to this component as well. This way, you teach your body to work the legs whilst keeping your core switched on and active, just like you need to in the pool. In this squat variation, you will see my swimmer Varun, who is a state medalist, perform single leg assisted squats. For this exercise, you will need a sturdy chair or a bench. Start with one leg forward in a lunge position and the opposite rested on a chair. The front knee should be in line with the mid aspect of the same foot. Keep tall through your spine as you try to keep your pelvis level. Perform of 1/4 of a squat on the leg that is forward. Try to keep your knee in line with your hip as well. The knee should not travel over the toes ever. You should feel the muscles in the outer part of your hamstring activated and really working. Perform 3 sets of 6 repetitions on each leg. Now it is important that you remember not to arch your back too much in this set and that your arms are always extended straight forward. For swimmers who are just starting out, you may not be able to have the fitness ability to do single leg squats. So the last one I showed you, assisted with a stool, is a great way to move towards that. My next exercise, Tarun and I will be demonstrating a great way to improve your cross-core stability. Start with a lunge. Keep your body straight with your shoulders back and relaxed and chin up. Always engage your core. Step forward with one leg, lowering your hips until both knees are bent and at about a 90-degree angle. At this point, we add the core stability component to it. From your torso, twist your upper body to the left. Reach across your left side with your arms outstretched. Slowly move your arms back to center and step forward with the opposite foot and then twist to the other side. Your core remains active by trying not to lose balance sideways. Using this type of stability exercise isolates your quads and hamstrings with a lunge motion. Adding the twisting motion causes your glutes to contract more fully while improving balance and proprioception. 6 repetitions on each leg for a total of 3 sets would suffice for this move. Now that we have worked the legs, mobility and stretching them out is key to have them recovered for our swim and the next time we go into the gym as well. Remember, if you don't stretch, you end up very sore the next morning, and over time, you'll lose flexibility. Power is nothing without flexibility in the pool, and without it, we lose all the positives that strong muscles otherwise give us. Here I have Varun, who is a breaststroker, do this great stretch that is really good for breaststroke swimmers. I have a simple variation of a Vajrasana stretch here, but Varun has his feet this time apart, so his butt muscles are on the floor. His ankles are turned out just like they would be at the top of his kick in breaststroke. He can hold this posture with a straight back, starting with 10 seconds and then growing to about 3 minutes of sitting down in that position eventually. His ability to turn his feet out and stretch his ankles will help with his flexion in the water, thus giving him a bigger range of motion with his feet that would help his breaststroke kick and the power with which he whips his feet down to the bottom of the pool in freestyle and butterfly as well. Now you can see Arisa performing this great stretch, and if you have knee issues, you could rather do this reclined than standing up. Lie down on one side and prop your head up with your hand. Pull your foot toward your butt. Bend your bottom knee if you're having trouble staying steady. Hold for 30 seconds and then switch to the other leg. Also, if you are doing this for the first time, remember never to jerk the muscle. Stretching should be done slowly and care must be taken not to push the swimmer beyond his or her capacity to stretch that muscle. The range of motion during stretching can be built over time. You do not have to push yourself or have someone push you to get better on the first day itself. Give it time, but consistency and discipline to do this every day is key to getting better. When I traveled to international tournaments and the aim was to rest before a big race, I'd warm up and after it, I would commit to 20 to 30 minutes for a good stretch routine. I have covered a lot of these in my episodes on upper body fitness as well. Now, let's get into the pool as I show you a couple of exercises in the pool and in-pool stretches that are great for strengthening there too. Everyone must have seen athletes from different sports spending time in the pool doing their swim down. They do this to relax out their muscles completely. Cold water and ice baths are great for muscle recovery as well. And to do this, you could stretch on land just like you did in the water. This is the last leg work routine that you could try to do in the pool and add some variety really to your lower body workout. You could superset this with arm work in the gym. So on a day you feel like you've really worked hard with your upper body on land and your legs do feel fairly rested, spend 5 to 10 minutes of your time doing this in the water. Among kicking drills, there are fewer that are far more effective, accessible and versatile as getting vertical kick done in your workout. Michael Phelps swore by it, and it was a very, very popular drill of mine in the pool as well. Go to a place in the pool that's deeper than your height. Push away from the wall and use your arms to place yourself in a vertical position. Lift your hands to the surface and use a flutter kick or a freestyle kick to keep your head above the surface of the water. And then move on to an alternating single leg breaststroke kick in an upright position. You can do one set with and an entire set without fins as well. I would usually do about 30 seconds of vertical kicking per stroke, rest for 20 and then switch to the other stroke again. This last exercise is a great way to not only improve leg power, but also do it against the resistance in the water. This improves your ability to kick harder, and you do it without the impact that a weight machine or a hard floor will have to the buoyancy and protection to our joints that water provides. And if you are in the middle of a very crowded pool in summer and find practically no space to do laps, this is a great way where you find a small space and you just keep working on leg strength. So there you have it, exercises on land and in the water to build power for your legs if you have goals this summer of clocking personal best times or swimming a little longer. The above work we have done will surely set you on your way to building a stronger lower base to reach your goals quicker. I know you often work hard, but I hope you've enjoyed joining us today to chat about swimming smarter. Happy swimming.